So speaking of coaching, can we talk about Rikers? Because you spent a lot of time working with young incarcerated folks.
18 to 21-year-old young men.
Yeah, and giving them a writing voice. Yeah. So what's that like? Because they have stories.
Boy, unfortunately, there's a direct connection between the flaws in our education system and the young men who find themselves in the correction system. And I ran into quite a lot of young men who, I don't want to blame the system completely, but these young men were clearly more than the system could handle. And sometimes they just get passed along, sometimes they get held back, and if you don't know this, getting held back is the #1 symptom of dropping out of school. And then they end up, boy, you drop out of school, what am I going to do for money? Okay, I'm not going to get into a big political thing.
And then you got those other kind of families on the street that you create and where you make money. And
well, these young men, I like to say what they lack in formal education, they more than make up for in the two things I look for in a writer: voice and honesty. They
lay it out on
there's no because they don't have to write with us. They don't have to sit at that table. They could play Dead Red Redemption. They could watch. One of the weird things about going to Rikers, they love to watch those fake court shows.
Oh, like.
And I'm like, you just got out of court. Now you're going to watch.
Because they know it's fake.
Judge Judy and family courts. That blows my mind. But pulling stuff out of these young men is, God, it's some of the best stuff I've ever done. And there are quite a few times I look at these young men, I go, I'm stealing that. I got a scene in The Hook that takes place at a dice game in Brooklyn, literally underground dice game in Brooklyn, that I've never been to, that was described to me by one of my young men at Rikers. And we nailed it. The two, he taught me. And somebody read it and said, have you done dice games in Brooklyn? I go, no. My young man did.
You must have got some cred.
So my current work in progress is about, it's about me. I finally, we'll cut to the chase.
Yeah, let's go to the
I tried to make it fictional. It wasn't working. So I just said, the pitch is, what if Tim Omara got involved in a crime because one of his young men at Rikers put something in his book bag as he was leaving? And it's all my life, and there's a fictional side to it. And I bring my character, whose name is Tim. I never call him Tim Omara. He's Tim or Mr. Tim, and he goes to Rikers more than I do, and I bring these young men's voices into it. And they're fascinating. These young men are absolutely fascinating, and anybody who doesn't believe in the school to prison pipeline is just fooling themselves, because these young men are, by and large, as smart as any kids I actually had the pleasure of teaching. They didn't have what other kids had. A lot of them come from single family households.
And directions just got shifted.
And mom is maybe working 2 jobs. So mom may not know the best schools in the neighborhood.
Right.
So they just go to, I could go on, there's a whole 5 other shows about this. But some of the most impressive writing I've ever seen is from these young men at Rikers. And they're inspired by the work we bring in. Langston Hughes, Ralph Ellison, Toni Morrison, Rudyard Kipling. They responded to that, the poem If. Raisin in the Sun is one of our favorite poems to do. And they respond to that. And it's like, who was guiding these young men when they really needed it?